of the transfer. So this is where all of you guys get to participate. So one of the key things in getting someone ready or transferring somebody is actually preparing their position for the transfer. So the rule of thumb that I use in terms of feet, you take those feet as far back as you can, as long as the heels stay on the ground, because you want a good base of support. Okay. If you don't have a good base of support, or if their heels are off and on their toes, when they come up, they're just going to shove them forward, right? So you want to get them to the edge, and then you want to get their feet tucked back as far as you can. The closer their feet are to the hips, the less weight shift that they have to do to stand up. And it's that weight shift that scares them, right? Our patients are afraid of falling forward. So they don't actually complete that full weight shift. So we have to make it easy for them to complete it, okay? Yeah, it does. So come forward, come right to the edge. Now tuck your feet back and stand, right? So we're putting them in a better biomechanical position for standing, or just accepting their weight on their legs, okay? We've already talked about sitting up tall a little bit, which is good. But one of the things that our folks do when they actually do that weight shift is they kind of crumble down through there. And when you crumble down through there, what happens is as they start coming forward, they buckle at their waist, not their hips, and then they kind of slide. Does that ever happen? Right? So when we're working, we're going to work to keep them up in a nice position so that they're bending at their hips in order to get that weight shift. Okay? The other thing we need to consider too is where should they be focused in terms of looking. And most of our patients, for some reason, I notice a lot of them look to the floor. You notice that? Mm-hmm. So when you look to the floor, you actually go down to the floor. And you kind of slide, right? And you can feel that. You can see that when I do it. So even though I'm set up, if I'm looking to the ground and I'm shifting my weight, I'm sliding off the bed before I actually get onto my feet. Okay? So I want to be looking on the horizon. The other thing, though, you have to be careful. If you tell your patient to look up, they'll look up. And what happens when they look up? They look up and they fall back, right? And we've seen that from a lot of our folks. So typically I tell them, look over my shoulder on the horizon, so that they're looking forward. Transfer. So we're going to do a sit pivot transfer, and we're going to get Annette all prepared, and then we're going to transfer to the chair. Okay? So bring this over. I'm actually going to get the foot pedals out of the way. And we're going to do what I consider to be a moderate assist transfer, meaning that the patient can do about 50% of the task, and I need to do about 50% of the task. So we bring the chair in, and because I'm doing it by myself, I want the chair as close to the bed as possible with her, okay? So that Annette only has to swing herself 90 degrees, but we're not going to do the full 90 all at once anyways. The only time we would change that position if we're using two people, and we put more at an angle so that that second person can get in behind, okay? Otherwise, right at the bottom third or the top third of the bed. And if I can get the brakes on, that would be nice. There we go. And we're going to get the armrest out of the way. Okay? So it doesn't matter which side is your affected side. We have the right side in bed, but in order to see things better, I think we'll use your left side as your affected side. And it doesn't matter where the chair is on the clients. When we're working with them in their therapy areas, we actually work going both to the right side and the left side. Because in a functional world, you need to be able to transfer both ways. You know, you think of getting in and out of a car. On the passenger side, you're getting in on the left, you're getting out on the right. So you need to be able to move in both directions. It's only under special circumstances that we set them up so that they're only going in one direction. And it could be someone who's a pusher, or someone who can only move well in one direction. Okay? So what we're going to do, I'm going to see if I can lower, I don't think I can lower this bed anymore. No. Okay? So I'm just going to bring this a little bit closer. So this is Annette's affected side, so I'm gonna get in here pretty nice and tight. We're gonna put her arm on her lap, it's going to give her support. And the thing is, when we do a sit pivot transfer, we're not coming right up into standing. We're going to stay low. What we're going to do is help her shift her weight so that her hips are unweighted just enough on the bed, and then we're going to pivot over. And when we first pivot over her neck, we're just going to pivot right here. Okay? So I want to make sure that her feet are in alignment. And actually, let's have you go back for a second, because I want to show people how to bring someone forward if they're having a hard time. Okay? So if this is your affected side, I like to get down on the ground, I always do. Okay? I want you sitting up nice and tall. And can you shift your weight onto your right hip? Okay, now shift over to unweight here, and I'm going to draw it forward, okay? Now, lift your right hip and bring it forward again. And shift onto your right hip. And now, in order to help, I have my hand back here and here to help drive it forward a little bit, okay? We want to assist the patient with the movement and not lift them, okay? So I'm going to walk in front, like so. I'm going to have her put her hand in my low back, on the back, okay? My left hand is right up at the top here because I'm going to help sit her up nice and tall and keep her there, but also help her with the weight shift. And then I'm going to put my other hand right down underneath her hip by the ischial tuberosity. And then we're going to shift her weight forward to unweight her hips. And then we're going to pivot and sit. And I'm using my knees to help that pivot, to shift that pivot. Okay? How'd that feel? Good. Okay. Now we need to reset her feet so that they're squared up. And we're going to just repeat the process. And this time you're going to go part way on the chair. Okay? So bend forward and shift. And she's not there yet. And move her feet. Now don't. She's getting ahead of me. She's a really good patient. Let's move this foot over a bit. Okay? So this time we're going to go to the right, and we're also going to go back a little bit. Okay? So bend up and back. There we go. And then from that position, we can flip this back. She might be able to wiggle herself back, right? And if I put the foot plates on, most of the time they can wiggle back as well. Okay, how's that? Good. Number one, I wasn't holding any clothing because I had my hands on Annette so that I could feel how she was moving. The other thing is the biomechanics of that weight shift are in such a way, because we've set her up in a good position, we only have to do that weight shift once. So we're not rocking her. We're not doing this 1, 2, 3, rocking forward, because most of our patients, they can't handle the momentum of coming forward like this, and then in a split second going forward and up, because they rock it out, right? And then we have to block them, and quite often that's a lot of movement for even us to maintain. So come on forward, patient. So when we do a stand step transfer, you don't need to worry about the armrest, okay? We'll get you sitting there, okay? So I'm going to go way back. We're going to do the same thing, okay? We're going to say that this is, let's say this is your affected side now, okay? I'm going to put that arm, this arm there. Sit up nice and tall. I want you to put all your weight on your right hip and bring your left hip forward. Good. Put your weight on your left hip. And I actually am asking her to shift her weight. I'm actually not asking her to lean. What would happen if I said lean to your right?
I fall right over.
What lean? See the difference? When she leans, she leads with her shoulders. Okay, come on back. Now just shift your weight onto your hip. Typically if you say shift, they're gonna actually work from their hips rather than the shoulders.
Yeah.
Okay? That's tricky.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So now we set up the feet. Now, I'm doing the same thing with the feet, but this time we're going to come right up into standing. Okay? So put your arm around me. Okay? Bend forward and up. And I'm pushing in with my left hand into the hips and my knees into her knee. And I'm not going to let go of that. And you notice, in order to support that knee, I'm still in a crouched position. Okay? We're going to have you take a small step forward with your left foot. Hold there, now shift your weight, and as soon as she shifts her weight onto that left foot, I can let go here and help her move that foot. But I'm coming back on it so that she can take weight onto it to support it so that you can take a small step forward again. And then we're going to shift and I'm going to move it and take a small, I'm actually going to take this one side. I'm going to take this foot. Now take a step back with your left, shift onto your left, and I'm going to start from the front here and get that foot back, and then we're going to sit down now. So go straight down, hold there, okay? Now to get her further back, she's going to either wiggle back, or I'm going to do the same thing that we did earlier, okay? We're going to have you shift your weight forward, get your weight on your feet, and then I'm going to, oh no, you moved too quickly. Bend forward, and I'm going to push her back with my knees. There we go. Good. Now we're going to do a 2-person sit pivot transfer. So the chair is going to be changed a little bit in terms of its angle so that Barb can get in between. Now, the person from behind has to be careful in that when we're doing this transfer and we're shifting and twisting somebody, they're already putting their back in a position of a twisted fashion, and you'll see that in a minute when Barb puts her arms underneath the hips, okay? So you have to be very careful keeping your back straight. The other thing that we have to be mindful of too, as we're moving the client, we're moving them in stages instead of all at once. And the reason why we're doing that is we want to make sure that we're not putting a large load on our backs as we're twisting, because we can ruin our backs if we do that, okay? So, Annette, Barb and I are going to help you. Now, the person that actually leads a 2-person transfer is the person that knows the client the best, because they're going to be directing the 3 people, okay? And it doesn't matter if you're tall or short, just whoever is comfortable with it, okay? So, we're going to say that this is your affected side, okay? I need you to sit up nice and tall. I need you to shift your weight, and we're going to bring you forward. That's it, right to the edge. Okay, now the only thing is some of our beds, the edges are pretty soft, so you have to make a good judgment. If you bring them too close to a soft bed, they can slide right off. Okay, so you have to be careful of that. Then we're going to set up her feet, so her heel is off here, so I want her heel flat. Okay, and we want that one flat, okay? Now, typically when I have to do a 2-person transfer, it's usually on a very big individual. They're very tall, and I can't usually get my hands down at the hips. So I think, Barb, what we'll do is I'll get you at the hips, and I'll be at the upper trunk. How's that sound? And let's bring this a little bit closer. Let's bring your arm up there. Okay? What side did I say? This is your side. Yeah. So we're going to move you here first. You're going to put your arm around me. I'm going to put my hands here. Barb's going to get her hands way underneath the hips. Okay? On the count of 3, we're just going to rock you forward once, unweight your hips, and then shift you. And go back down. Nice. So we don't want to take a hand off of her. We don't want her to fall over on us. We'll reset the feet. And now we'll move over to the chair a little bit. So that nice and tall. Bend and pivot. Beautiful. And you can move that foot, and I'm going to help that foot, and now we're going to move further back in the chair. Okay? 1, 2, 3, and back. Beautiful. Nice transfer. Very nice. Good. That worked out really well. Okay, and that's how you can work. Sometimes though, if you can get underneath the client, you still may need that 2nd person behind. So the 1 person underneath the hip on the trunk, and the 2nd pair of hands where it's needed, either on the torso or underneath the hips, depending on the individual's needs.